Last year, I made a video 10 questions for atheists.
Yes, you did, and who boy it was ever something. I mean, I don't know how one man could contain all the disingenuous in the universe, but somehow you managed it, and came off as literally the least genuine guy asking the least genuine questions ever. It was amazing, and it took me 2 agonizing goddamn videos to get through, so thank you for that. Pain makes me feel alive.
That's in a playlist that has 12 episodes, as I listened to what atheists said and then interacted with that.
Yeah, about that. I looked at your replies, and frankly, I find your lack of sick disturbing. I mean, look at that. There's all these very capable athi-blabs and such, likely doing an actually good job of answering your questions. But there's no me, the most important one, giving the smartest, asked answers you will likely ever have. Much disappoint. One might think that that means I'm not as important as I think I should be to other people, but I'm going to assume that you were just overwhelmed with handsome and forgot who you were for 7 months. Yeah, that's it.
There were a lot of responses, and I still get responses to this day from that video.
It's almost like that was kind of dumb, and whenever anyone sees it, they are like, holy shit, I need to say words about this right f***ing now. But just note that doesn't make it a good video, only an extremely silly one. And I have a funny feeling extremely silly was not what you were going for.
Now, admittedly, there were some things in that video that might have been tongue-in-cheek.
Translation. I said things in that video in an extremely ridiculous way, thinking that it sounded big brain. But now it's been pointed out over and over and over again, I'm going to pull a Tommy Wiseau and pretend that I knew what I was doing all along. And it was actually satire of an extremely incompetent person, and not a completely earnest dive into abject failure.
But I genuinely wanted to hear the answers to those questions.
So you were taking the piss and didn't really mean it, but it also is completely honest in what you wanted to say. Dude, what even? That's not how that works. Like, I'm sure you think you mean that, but if you want genuine answers, then you've got to ask genuine questions and hold back the snark. Like, I do not expect genuine responses to my videos. I am a comedy asshole. So even when I on occasion do put out a genuine, well thought out point or question, I have no illusion that anyone owes me that. It's nice when they do, but I would be kidding myself to expect them to. And you are as well.
Quite a few atheists seem to appreciate that I was trying to understand their positions in a greater way.
And aren't they the sweetest summer children of all? Gotta love them. Just keep them away from me. Both in that I don't want to be anywhere near that kind of disgusting positive outlook. And also that if there is any goodness left in the world, I would rather not taint it with my, well, me. I do ruin literally everything. At least that's what my mum always said.
But many still didn't think my questions were genuine.
Shonk, it's almost like that's exactly what they weren't.
A lot of people also thought that I was too wordy for the question to come out in a precise way.
No, actually, I tend to like the wordier questions. It allows you lot to really dive into how you have no idea just how utterly absurd what you are asking is, and helps us to understand just how deep the brain rot goes. Nothing worse than a straight list of questions that's literally just a list of questions. What am I supposed to do with that? Answer them? Like some kind of asshole?
So here I'm asking these questions as simply and concisely as I possibly can and without any snark whatsoever. I genuinely want to know the answers to these questions.
Alright, cool. And go right ahead, and I cannot stress this enough, do try to actually, not screw it all up again so hard that I have to repeatedly make fun of you. And certainly don't find new and interesting ways to completely undermine your opening address about how totally genuine you're being. I mean, no one wants that, do they? That would be awful. And hilarious, obviously.
Question 1. If you have a deconversion story from any world religion, would you mind sharing that story?
No, I would not mind sharing that story. That's an answer to that question, isn't it? See? First one and you're already messing it up. Leaving me with a huge opening to be flippant. God damn it, man. But yeah, okay, sure, fine. I will stop being a dick for 5 seconds. Yes, I was quote-unquote raised Protestant. That is to say, we were told we were Protestant and went to a local church every Sunday for a time at least. But still to this day, for the life of me, I cannot figure out why. Aside from my grandparents, no one really gave a shit. We didn't discuss religion in the house. And there's no way either of my parents didn't find sermons as incredibly boring as I did. So yeah, what a waste of everybody's time. Also, fun fact, I got kicked out of Sunday school for making the quote-unquote teacher cry. Now I know what you're all thinking. Of course you did. What horrible thing did you do/say to that poor helpless woman sick? And I admit, I was kind of awful. I did the worst thing possible. I asked questions, and not only that, I questioned the answers to those questions without immediately just accepting them. Yeah, I know, I was always going to grow up to be a monster, wasn't I?
If you grew up in a non-religious household, what was it like to experience being around other people who were raised religious?
Well, being from merry old England, it's kind of hard to tell either way, and I can only speak for after my non-godding, but apart from the occasional street preacher, unless you literally go into a church or maybe a church-based school or hospital, you're almost never going to hear shit about it. Not gonna lie, it's pretty great. Of course, then I went on the internet and ruined everything. Guess my mum was right.
Question number 2. Is there anything that Christian apologists or philosophers bring?
No, never. You know, you have a party with BYOB rules, and every f***ing time all they bring is a bottle of the cheapest plonk you have ever seen in your life. And then they proceed to drink all my good whiskey and fall over themselves telling me how I'm their best mate. And no one understands them like I do, and they wish they had never made the Who-mans and, oh wait, shit, no, I'm thinking of God, aren't I?
That you actually do consider to be good evidence for God.
No, like literally none of it, because that's the thing about good evidence for God. If it existed, then, well, you know, there would literally be evidence for God and not the entire no evidence that currently exists anywhere ever. Because if it did, that would be what everyone pointed to, and everyone else would agree, why yes, that is actually evidence for God. But they don't do that for some reason.
And if not, how do you define evidence?
Things that can be verified, and in the case of God, have no other more reasonable explanation than supernatural man done did it. In fact, just today I came up with an excellent piece of evidence for God. At least, your almighty matey. All God has to do is provide us with a thing that no one, man nor woman nor fish nor horse, has the capability of explaining any other way than, welp, I guess God must exist. Now seriously, think about it. If God am all power boy, then he must be able to do that. And if he can't, not much of a God. Or at least, not as you might describe. So yeah.
Straightforwardly, I'm a dog person. Here's my dog, Indiana. Dogs, cats, both, or neither.
Are you serious? What the hell has that got to do with atheism? And I thought you weren't going to be asking snarky questions. Well, I suppose that's not technically snarky, but what it is pointless. It's not a question that makes me think you are being serious, again. Or that maybe, in fact, you are just seriously stupid. Because what even? But fine. I made my bed of nonsense, I'll lie in it. I like both, in a sort of turducken sense. But obviously I stick them both in a Who-mans, and then the whole thing is fried in oil with herbs and spices. And it's delicious. Nothing like a Kentucky Fried Who-dog-cat.
Did Jesus exist as a single historical individual?
I don't f***ing know, and neither do you, which of course leads to a fairly obvious conclusion of probably not. I mean, the sheer volume of people at the time claiming to be messiahs put paid to that idea. In fact, anything even remotely historical about Jesus was likely about several different guys doing magic tricks. So yeah, no, Jeebus don't real, and the less said about the God version, the better.
And if so, how reasonable do you think it is for people to hold the position that Jesus did not exist?
Very. I know that question's not for me, but damn, the people who get mad at me for so-called mythicism are f***ing hilarious. As if this barely recorded person whom scholars can barely agree on anything about might not actually have existed as a single dude is such a wild thing to say.
Of your Christian friends and family members,
I don't have any friends, and the less said about my family, the better. I mean, the only one that I can think of that I know regularly calls themselves a Christy Bob is my grandmother. And last time she talked to me about Jesus, I laughed in her face. No, I'm not kidding, but to be fair, you try not laughing your ass off when someone sits down, holds you by the hand, and says they're not worried about you because one day they just know you're gonna find Jesus. Sorry, love, not gonna happen. I mean, I checked behind all the furniture and I have simply run out of places to look.
Which one would stand the best chance of convincing you or persuading you than the others?
Not my grandma, that's for sure. But seriously, and I don't want you to get confused here. None of them. And that's not to say that one couldn't convince me of the existence of a God, but never, ever, never, never the big God of the Bible. Because quite frankly, he's demonstrably false, based on the book he apparently sent to prove him in the first place. And unless I had some kind of complete and total memory wipe and lost the ability to read and all of my critical faculties, I don't think anyone could convince me of Crimsbianity, because it's self-evidently not f***ing true.
Even if you think none of them stand a chance, some stand more of a chance than others, right? Who would that be? And why?
No, that's not what no one has a chance means. They are all at 0% probability of convincing me. Well, I suppose maybe some of them have negative chances when... Yeah, no, it's still all of them. They're just now all at minus infinity because of doing that. Done.
What's your favorite film or television series?
Oh, for f***'s sake, the irrelevant questions. God, you're lucky it's literally impossible for you to waste my time harder than I waste my own, or we would have a real problem on our hands here, buddy boy. But fine. Favourite TV or movie? I don't know, man, I'm a grown-up. I stopped having specific favourites years ago. Now it's just the moderately long list of things I like for various reasons, and then I re-watch them at slightly alarming rates. Because the older I get, the harder I find it to like new things. Mostly because so much of it is incredibly shit. But then, some of my favourite things are objectively shit, so I can only assume that I just ran out of space, and now all that's left is endless reruns of BoJack Horseman and Howl's Moving Castle.
Contingency arguments for God's existence can be framed in a number of ways, obviously.
Oh, I have one. It's that they are wrong, and no one should use them to argue for God's existence. But that would be unfair and true. I don't know. I think, more than anything, I want a new argument that I haven't heard before, instead of the same shit repeated endlessly, always framed by the teller as this brilliant thing that no one has ever heard before. But then again, it's not like I'm running out of material to make fun of them with, so...
But pick one, and what's your favorite response to this sort of contingency argument?
You didn't make a contingency argument to have a favourite to argue against, and I'll be damned if I'm doing your job for you. Again, you said you were doing real questions, but you need to actually ask a question that contains enough information for people to f***ing answer it. Christ, it's been a bunch of time for you since you did the last one, and you're still so freaking bad at this.
Or if you're really ambitious, what's your favorite response to contingency arguments in general?
Or I should say, oi, contingency arguments. No! You're just the cosmological argument in a different hat. God isn't necessary for the existence of other things just because you f***ing say he is, you slag.
On your understanding of Christianity, what does it take for a person to become a Christian and experience everlasting life?
What the f***? What does that even mean? You want me to tell you how to gain immortality? I'm not doing that. The last thing I need right now is immortal f***ing humans. They'll get everywhere. I mean, I made it so that the universe wouldn't support them for a reason. So I could keep them all in one place and not have that mess over the entire f***ing universe. If they start immortaling, they're just going to make massive human pyramids and then start chucking each other into orbit. And then there's no f***ing stopping them.
Whether you think anything in the Bible is true or not, do you think that the Bible, or any passage in the Bible, seems to teach eternal conscious suffering in hell?
Why would that matter? Because seriously, the contents of the Bible has never really been all that relevant to discussions about Christianity. I mean, you people are constantly disagreeing with each other about what any of it means, and often about literally the things that it says. That question, or anything like it, becomes basically meaningless, because at the end of the day, plenty of Bible adherents absolutely say that it does. And perhaps you're leaning towards, actually it doesn't, but then you both read the same book, so it literally doesn't seem to matter what it says.
Maybe you think it teaches universal ultimate salvation.
Well, now, there's something that sounds like infinite torture. Finally, getting out of the everything, only to find that you still have forever to go. Damn, that is rough. I mean, I knew God hated humans as much as me, but that's just f***ing cruel.
Or annihilation, the idea that people will no longer be conscious, but will be annihilated and no longer have a conscious experience of anything.
One can only hope. Can we do it now? Because, I got shit I want to do, but there's all these people outside and they're not cowering in fear from me like they so clearly should. I mean, it's like they don't even think I'm a cosmic horror bent on their destruction or something like that.
And I should say, I'm partly asking that question because a friend of mine, Chris Date at Rethinking Hell, would be happy to have a discussion or a debate on the subject of whether any Bible passage teaches eternal conscious torment.
Oh, you're only bringing it up so that you can shill your mate's stuff? Not, again, so you can have an honest, non-time-wasty, genuine conversation? Jesus Christ, dude. If I didn't know any better, I would swear this was all an elaborate prank against yourself to make you look completely incompetent. Who needs enemies when you have yourself as your biggest problem?
What do you think is the most dangerous or problematic issue that theologically conservative Christians hold to?
I don't know, man. There's so many, and they are always changing to whatever is the thing we are going to believe to make the world a worse place for everybody de jour. Also, it's kind of hilarious that you threw conservatives under the bus there. A, there are conservative atheists, and B, I'm sure Crimsbians who swing the other way can have just as f***ed up ideas banging around in their noggins. It's bizarre that you would do that, I'm assuming, to yourself.
And I'm talking about an issue or a position, not a person, a movement, or a party.
I mean, you literally brought up the party, but whatever. My main problem that I believe is the most dangerous belief that a lot of Christ guys have is the belief that they are right. And I don't mean that in a smarmy dickhead way from me. I mean that they are right in a beyond time and space kind of way. That for many of them means that they will never be able to concede they are wrong about pretty much anything that matters. That's a terrifying thing to deal with, especially with people who seem so desperate to rule the f***ing world.
Well, that's the list for 2021. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and I sure hope you will respond in the comments or make your own video in response. I'd love to hear what you have to say because I genuinely want the answers to these questions.
I would say you are welcome, but I can't feel my eyeballs anymore after watching that, and I think I need to go see the doctor. And he's still mad from the last time, when you made it so that I couldn't taste my tongue anymore. Wait, I still can't. Doctor, help!
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the